Hey everybody, Sean here, and welcome to Revealing Truth, and special thanks to Mark Scott for sharing this. In today's video titled, Modern Day Apostles, Is That a Thing? We'll listen to Randy Clark tell us about all the apostles he's met, and then I have a question for him.
I have known apostles who are great apostles, model apostles, and I've known some that weren't. You know, this is a grace thing. And so we should not expect our leaders to be perfect. And we want them to be moral. We don't want them to fall into sin, grave sin. We don't want them to move into heresy. But it is unrealistic to believe that every apostle will just be a perfect person in every way. That actually refutes grace.
Of course, none of the apostles in the Bible were perfect. And nobody expects our leaders to be perfect today. But that has nothing to do with being an apostle today. And he gives us an example.
For example, I believe Martin Luther was an apostolic person of his day who led not only the Reformation, but was an apostolic move. And he had some rough edges. And some of the things he said about a Jewish nation, for example, was an embarrassment actually to me. And yet, God used him mightily. Some of the great leaders in the Catholic Church that led apostolic work, they had lots of great things, but some had areas that we wouldn't think was so great. It's the same way in Catholic and Protestant, whether it's in John Wesley or Whitfield, or there are people who God used mightily, but they may have had short tempers, they may have had short patience, they may have had some things that they said that we regret. Even modern day apostolic leaders, this is still the same.
But God using men in great ways doesn't mean they're apostles. None of them were personally chosen by Jesus when he walked the earth. And throwing Catholicism into the mix is just one more thing to confuse people. And we haven't even gotten to my question yet.
So I would like to say this. I know and I've met some apostles who are proud and arrogant. I don't approve of that. I think that's not a good model, and we don't want that. I've known apostles who were heavy-handed, controlling, and who ruled with an absolute authority, and I don't think that's a good model either. And I'm speaking this to let you know, here's things I think that I've seen in apostolic men and women in offices and had the title, but these are things we need to try to keep to a minimum. And I have also known apostles who were strong leaders, but poor fathers. And I don't mean fathers to their natural children. I mean fathers to the spiritual sons and daughters that was raised up. Strong leaders, but poor fathers. And I've known apostles who were very strong and very committed to the word, but some of them lacked character and integrity. And then I've known them who had great character, as I've known some apostles who were great father figures, not only to their own children, but to the spiritual children around them. And I know, and I believe that there are people who did not ever use the title apostle, and that's exactly what they were. And I believe that there are people today in mainline denominations who don't even, for political correctness, they can't even use that title. And that's who they are. They are apostolic in mainline denominations. And then there are apostles that I've met of new denominations and apostolic networks. So I believe that God is not restoring the office of apostle that had gone extinct, but it's continued throughout the history of the church, but it's got a huge focus that came in the latter part of the 20th century, a huge focus, a refocusing on not only the adjective, the apostolic ministry, but the noun apostles.
It's interesting that they can't even agree with one another. Peter Wagner, who founded this movement, was clear that the office of apostle is being restored. Yet Randy says he doesn't believe that. But the question I have for Randy and all those who believe like he does is this. How many of those so-called apostles you've met are actually walking in the true signs of an apostle, including signs, wonders, and miracles? because this is what God gives us as at least one way to identify a true apostle. And if they're not walking in all these miraculous ways, then they aren't true apostles. They're the false apostles we've been warned of in 2 Corinthians 11. No so-called apostle today was personally chosen by Jesus either. So there's another reason they're false. And as we've said before, if they were doing all the healings and miracles we saw in the Bible, they'd have thousands of people following them for this. And there'd also be so much news coverage of all these miracles that it would be impossible to deny. But we don't see any of that, do we? So, if you do come across anyone that's claiming apostles are active today, just ask them two simple questions to test the validity of these claims. Number one, are they walking in the true signs, wonders, and miracles of an apostle? And were they personally chosen by Jesus? And if the answer is no, then they're false. Easy peasy. So with that being said, leave your comments below. And until next time, take care and God bless.